Okay, 2-minute exposure, absolutely spot on. I always like that little trick. No fancy calculations. Good morning, another dawn, another coastline, and this time we've got a small pier here that is providing a little bit of interest. I'm in Santa Pola and the weather forecast has been wrong again. We were supposed to have about 45% cloud. It looks more like we've got about 95 to 100% cloud. It looks pretty overcast and dull. It's about 25, maybe 30 minutes before sunrise, and one of the reasons I like to arrive early is because if the weather forecast is wrong, I can take advantage of the pre-dawn light, the sort of blue hour, what would be transitioning to golden hour if we had any light, to get some different kind of shots. So I've set up a composition here now. I'm using the pier as a focal point. I've got the camera pretty much dead level, both in terms of the horizon obviously, but also in terms of the angle of the camera, because I'm shooting at 16mm on the 16 to 35 lens, and if I tilt the camera up or down I'm going to get converging verticals. The reason I'm using 16mm is because this pier, although it's actually quite long, there's only a very small part of it that's actually in the water, and I want to accentuate that perspective, make it look longer than it actually is. I'm going for long exposures, no filters at the moment because there's no light. Okay, so I've just got the pier coming in from the right hand side of the frame, top and bottom, f11, 30 seconds, it's a long exposure. I'm going to close the eyepiece off, although there's not that much light to leak in, but just in case. And we'll take a 30-second exposure. That actually looks quite nice. I quite like that. It's starting to get a bit brighter now, but the shot I was really hoping for here was with the sun rising over to my left and casting side lighting on this scene, and hopefully some nice colour in the sky. Seriously doubt that's going to happen now, but I'm going to hang around here a little bit longer and see. There's some colour in the sky over that way, but I just don't think the sun's actually going to break through. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to do an even longer exposure. I fitted a 6-stop ND filter. It's a Lee little stopper. I've gone to f8. Now in theory that should give me a 2-minute exposure, but I do like to test it. I don't like to shoot 2 minutes and then discover it hasn't worked. So my little trick is, once I've fitted it, I turn my ISO up by exactly 6 stops compared to what I want to shoot at. I want to shoot at ISO 64, which is the base ISO on this camera. 6 stops up is ISO 4000. I'm going to take a 2-second exposure. At ISO 4000. And that is a perfect exposure. Now the beauty of going up 6 stops is, if I now go back to my base ISO, in other words down 6 stops, no fancy calculations, I simply have to go into bulb mode and substitute seconds for minutes. 2 seconds becomes 2 minutes. Okay, 2-minute exposure, absolutely spot on. I always like that little trick. It means I don't run the risk of shooting a 2-minute exposure and then discovering that I actually haven't got the exposure right. I end up with blown highlights or whatever. Looking at the sky, we're not going to get much light on the scene. Still about 10 minutes to sunrise, but there's a bit of colour coming across the scene here, which is quite nice, but nothing out this way, which is where I want it. Okay, so the sun is putting in an appearance, but in all honesty, I don't think it's going to put any decent light on the scene. Nevertheless, I've taken the ND filter off, and I'm going to wait and see if we get anything interesting light wise coming across here, but I don't think we're going to. It looks to me as if the sun's just peeking up above the hills and the buildings over there, and then it's just going to go straight into some cloud. And to be honest, even where it's visible at the moment, it's completely sort of washed out. I mean, I can look straight at it and it's not dazzling me at all, so I don't think we're going to get much in the way of light. Okay, as I expected, sun came up, weak and watery through some thin cloud, and then disappeared into some heavier cloud. It's just a very, very grey scene. I don't think we're going to get anything any better here today. There's another shot that I was thinking of doing here today, but it needs light. It's at the wreck of a boat that's preserved on the beach here. I think it's something to do with the salt mining that they do here. And I think maybe it's a barge or something, and I thought it might make a nice shot, but it really needs light on it for it to work, and we haven't got any, so I'm kind of not going to bother with that. I'll come back another day and shoot that one when we've got better light. I've taken 2 images here this morning. One was a 30-second exposure and one was 2 minutes. Identical compositions. The only difference will be the amount of flattening out in the water. The 30-second one might have a little bit of texture. The 2-minute one will probably be completely flat. And what I'm going to do is put these images back on the computer, have a look, see which one I think looks best. Probably crop slightly, because I think probably a 16:9 format would look better than the standard 3:2. And I'll put up the choice of image right now. Okay, so that's it. I think I'm going to pack up, turn around and drive all the way back home. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have and you want to see more, don't forget to hit the subscribe link, unless of course you're already a subscriber, in which case I really appreciate it. Like, shares and comments, really appreciated as well. They all help me to promote the channel. So, thank you very much for watching, and until the next video, bye.